Out of the cutting edge of rocket science with Valcan. Our engineers work tirelessly to ensure your machine can rise to the occasion. Whether you need to fight the power or fly to the moon, now you can with Valcan.
Yes, you can!
Yes, we can with R.B. Valcan Rescue Ace. Alright, so what's going on, guys? Your boy Nistro here. We're back. More R.B. Rescue Ace combos. This time I wanted to switch it up a bit because we're not just going to cover the combos that we missed. Right, so first we're going to clear up some confusion about the last video, because last video was day 0 combos. Last video was I was on DB and the cards just came out and I was experimenting. Now you see the cards are on EDO Pro, so they're not going to have any mess ups like we had last time. This time it's going to be legit. So I wanted to redo the airlifter combo, and I want to show the difference between the airlifter combo and the emergency combo, just so that you guys have like a baseline to start off of as to what these cards are actually capable of in R.B. Rescue Ace. I'm just going to let the combo play because by this point, if you've watched the first video, you understand. I mean, you should understand how Rescue Ace works because it's very straightforward. It's like Hydra into Turbulence, and then, you know, you keep your R.B.s together because they're birds of a feather and they don't like other archetypes being on the field. So this time we're making the IP Masquerena. Booster Revive Color, go for Brute Blues. And boom. So what we have here is Rescue, right, to revive either our Preventer, right? You could chain it, so like you do IP Chainlink 1 or like the first Chainlink, and then you can chain Rescue to the IP so that you can special summon out Preventer, link off into SP Chainlink 1, Preventer Chainlink 2 to bring back the Airlifter. So it's harder for them to interact with whatever you summon off of as IP. We do also play Nightmare Links in our deck, so if you want to like drop one, draw one as well, you can go Nightmare Phoenix, Nightmare Cerberus.
The choice is yours.
It's also going to be twice as good because now you're searching follow-up with Airlifter. You can get another emergency. If you play Field Spell, you can get Rescue Ace Field Spell. Airlifter has, I think, a pretty good setup. You have your Brute Blues, your Cutter, your Field Spell. Overall, slightly better than the Hydrant variant because you have the Rescue Ace trap card set up. Still not as strong, I think, as the emergency variant where you have Promethean Princess as well. But I mean, you can make Promethean Princess turn 3 easily as long as you can survive this turn. You can summon Vulcan Rocket, you don't have to keep it in hand, but I figured summoning Vulcan Rocket would make Brute Blues weak to Typhon. So I figured keeping it at like a more low to the ground attack, or keeping its attack as low as possible without letting it be too weak, I think is the best way to go. I think because of Field Spell, it's like Cutter's gonna go into Driller, and then, you know, so it's still gonna have a decent amount of attack. Now looking at the emergency combo, so this is the combo that was supposed to be the Airlifter combo from the first video. You can now only do with emergency. So what made this illegal before was that we were attempting to special summon out the Cutter when we went for the Airlifter combo, when because of the existence of Amblo Whale, we could not special summon Cutter on the field. It is just too difficult to go all the way into Promethean Princess just to remove Amblo Whale when we don't have to do that. Like, that just seems bad, right? It's better to leave Amblo Whale on the field, get the Promethean Princess pop, and then Amblo Whale will trigger, resummoning out your Pit Knight early so you have an extra interruption on top of potential follow-up. Now, because we started with emergency, we didn't use our normal summon, we can normal summon out Cutter. So that's what makes this combo slightly different than the proposed Airlifter combo from the first video. I did change the description or the timeline in the video to say emergency 1-card combo instead of airlifter, but just know that like the airlifter combo from the first video, this is what it actually is. You're using emergency to get your full rescue ace setup plus your R.B.s setup without using your normal summon, and then just normal summoning out the cutter at the end of the turn. And then you have your contain and extinguish. You can rescue for hydrant directly if that's what you want to do to get the full effects off your rescue ace trap cards. I would just be a little careful because you don't end with a rescue ace on the field, so you can't like activate extinguish and then chain rescue. It would be better if you could, but you can't. Also, if your board is going to get cleared, you can just chain rescue, maybe special out preventer, so that if preventer gets sent to grave, maybe as like you could pop preventer instead of Amble Whale, so that if preventer gets sent to graveyard, you can special out airlifter and grab some follow-up.
The choice is yours.
Now I wanted to explore what we do with stage landing plus emergency, because that's one line that I didn't actually cover last time. So the beautiful thing about doing this is that the stage landing covers the activation of Dominus Impulse. And what I mean by that is stage landing is not once per turn. Okay, so you activate stage landing to start turn, you go into Brute Blues. Brute Blues searches Cutter, special summon out Cutter. Now, if they held their Dominus Impulse, they just can't use it. Or if they use it, it gets negated by the Cutter. But let's just assume it's only a Dominus Impulse because that's what we're trying to play around. If we open stage landing, and let's say they Dominus Impulse to stage landing itself, stop us from getting access to Brute Blues. Then at that point, we just do the full emergency combo that you just saw, and we still get Brute Blues. And we still get Cutter. So activating the Dominus Impulse, whether you negate the stage landing or not, if we still have the emergency or just rescue ace combo in general, we're still getting back to the Brute Blues and the Cutter. Dominus Impulse essentially is worthless by itself against this setup, because there's no time that they get to activate it and it resolves. That being said, why do we activate emergency before normal summoning out airlifter, right? Doesn't it make more sense to try to dodge Imperm with normal summon airlifter and then dodge Imperm by using emergency? Yes, that is a way if you're only concerned about Imperm, but Ash Blossom exists too. If I normal summon out airlifter, grab emergency, and then they go Ash Blossom on the emergency, I was never going to get anywhere anyway. But Ash Blossom's a lot more impactful, right? Brute Blues plus Cutter can just negate the Imperm if they have it. But Ash Blossom, I can't do anything about that. So to check for the Ash Blossom, Brute Blues attempt to search. If they don't Ash it, then I special not Cutter. Then activate emergency. If emergency gets negated, you don't go minus, but it's a 1-for-1. You're not tributing a monster for cost for emergency, and it just goes to graveyard, and then you just get to normal summon the airlifter search something else. If you have hydrant, normal summon hydrant search something else. That way you're playing better into the Ash Blossom than you would be if you like normal summoned and then activated emergency. So essentially, now that we've learned the ceiling of some of the lines, we're now trying to build it around hand traps. And R.B.s are very good at playing through hand traps, as you're going to see. I mean, it's the whole theme of this video. You're going to see how good R.B.s are at playing through hand traps. So at this point, I mean, we got Hydra, we got Turbulence. You guys can probably already guess where this is going to go. This time we're setting the emergency since we already have something of a setup. We still go Valken Booster here to search field spell. And oh yeah, because we start with emergency, when we link off with preventer, airlifter searches us another card later on. So we can set the emergency for later and we can activate the rescue now. Because if we set the rescue, we'd only be able to activate alert and not be able to activate the rescue this turn. But because we added the rescue to hand, we now have the option to use rescue during our turn instead of waiting for the opponent's turn. So that's why you sequence it this way. I mean, if you want to, you don't have to, but that's why you sequence it this way. And also, going for Valken Booster into Funk Dock gets us another stage landing. Stage landing isn't once per turn on any of its effects. So stacking up stage landings in the graveyard makes sure that our Brute Blues can survive until next turn. It's more likely to survive until next turn is what I mean. That's one way that we can try to avoid Brute Blues getting removed from the field. And even if it does get removed, we do still play a second one. So it's not the biggest deal if it gets like banished off of SP. We still have Vulcan Booster, Rocket, Cutter. They try to attack into one of the smaller guys. We can still just banish, stop the destruction, and then turn 3, either search another stage landing or just link off straight into another Brute Blues. Or if you want to be really spicy and get Brute Blues to the maximum amount of attack, you can also just link a Brute Blues under a Brute Blues. This is really only if you're trying to like go for game or something through stage landing, like if you're going second. But going first, you don't need to summon it. You don't need to summon Brute Blues under Brute Blues. This is just to get it to the maximum amount of attack while being locked under stage landing, because you know you can only summon monsters with 1500 or less. So you can't go for your Promethean Princess, Solomon Great Phoenix OTK. You can really only go for this. And even here, we made sure to use our rescue to get Preventer, so that this way Preventer can like also be an interruption. So we have like a Book of Moon here, we have our rescue ace traps, and we have emergency, although emergency won't be able to be activated until something gets removed from our field. Also, you can see Hydra is not playing through the anima column, but it can't be targeted, so even if they do anima, which pretty rare these days, but still gotta take extra precaution, it can't be targeted, so should be all right. Now we're going to talk about playing R.B.s through most hand traps, or just about every hand trap. So let's say our stage landing gets ashed. Let's say that they see the stage landing and they say, okay, I have an Imperm. I don't want them to start with stage landing before I resolve Imperm, right? This is, the opponent's kind of taking a risk because if I have a second one, they just wasted their ash. But let's say this is how they sequence it, because if they let stage landing resolve, then Imperm just doesn't do anything. Whereas if they don't let it resolve, there's a chance that Imperm can do something. Here's the thing, right? You know how I was just saying to check for the ash? The ash is already resolved. When the ash is already resolved, now we play through Imperm. You see what I'm saying here? When we don't know ash is in the hand, or even in this case, Dominus Impulse, I guess, yes, we can't, playing through Dominus Impulse, you can still emergency first, just to be safe. But when you know that the ash is gone, you can start with Hydrant. It's inconsequential at this point to start with Hydrant, because again, the ash is gone. Dominus Impulse could still be in the hand. We wouldn't get hard punished by it. We do still have Hydrant into Preventer, into R.B. combo, and we do still have our own line of hand traps, but at least still. You also have to think, why would they Ash Blossom stage landing? They wouldn't Ash Blossom stage landing unless they had another spell or trap in their hand to activate that turn. Otherwise, Ash Blossom on stage landing is kind of redundant because I get to search another one later. Also, when they Ash stage landing, you are not locked under its summoning condition. So if they Ash Blossom a stage landing, you're free to make whatever play you like. So normally we emergency into Hydrant, but because Hydra has already resolved, thanks to emergency, Hydrant's gonna search Turbulence, Airlifter can search Rescue. So that's another reason why, like with Hydrant, it kind of makes more sense to go Hydrant first and then emergency. With Airlifter, it's kind of inconsequential, but I think with Hydrant it makes a little more sense, because if they have the Dominus Impulse for the emergency, then it doesn't really matter. But with Hydrant, it makes a little more sense to go Hydrant first and then emergency, if you know that the ash is gone. Turbulence. Set our alert. Alert, get the Preventer. We go Valken booster, get field spell. This time we're not really caring too much about keeping it RB because we had 3 bodies anyway. So we go Funk Dock, stage landing, go Brute Blues, get a stage landing, and boom. Now, unfortunately, we couldn't use the Airlifter for a Link Summon here because it can't be used for any of the RB links, so it kind of just has to sit here awkwardly. So we can keep Preventer on field so that Airlifter is at least giving us an interruption through Preventer. I would have preferred it to be Hydrant, but because Airlifter is a warrior and not a machine, you know, suffering from success, we get to keep Rhoda in the deck, but it also doesn't help much with the RB combos. And unless you're going to play a Link 2 machine like Barricade Board Blocker, which isn't a bad card, just not like the best card to play, then there's really no way to convert Airlifter into a machine without like going the extra mile. Now, this is pretty straightforward, right? What if they activate Imperm on the Brute Blues to stop you from searching? Perfectly fine. Just go into your regular Hydrant combo. They really didn't stop shit. Imperm doesn't mean anything. You still get to make pretty much the same board. I really wish Stage Landing protected any machine monster from destruction, so this could be a lot better, but is what it is. So the next question is Nibiru. What do we do through a Nibiru? So let's say that we didn't resolve Stage Landing, or we don't have it, and we're just doing our typical RB combo. So Hydrants 1, Clockwork 2, Preventer 3, Valken Booster 4, Hydrant is 5. Here's the issue. If your opponent nibs you before you resolve, because they're going to see you search Field Spell. If they nib you right here, you just go Field Spell, search Stage Landing, activate Stage Landing, go for Brute Blues, Special Summon out Cutter. So essentially, you still, if they nib you right here, it doesn't do anything. It's a useless nib right here. Whereas if they hold it for once you get to Brute Blues, that's when it's stronger. So that's what they're going to try to do. So as you can see, we're resolving Brute Blues' effect, right? So now that we've committed to Brute Blues' effect, it's a lot stronger of a nib once we summon out this Cutter. Because now you think, okay, now that they've used Brute Blues and they've special summoned out Cutter once per turn, the token's gonna stop them from being able to extend even if they have more RBs in hand. But Funk Dock does still actually trigger off of Nibiru. I love that this card says that when an RB leaves the field by a card effect, it's not like, it doesn't have to be sent to the graveyard, it can be banished, it can be sent back to the hand. It will still trigger to summon an RB from deck, which is great. I love this. Now we still have this second Stage Landing. We never resolved the second Stage Landing because we didn't have to. It's better to go Blues plus Cutter in case they have nib versus to activate both Stage Landings. So essentially by holding the second Stage Landing, we just get to summon out another Brute Blues. We could also, if you want Cutter instead of Driller, because this is why I think you may want to play 2 Cutter, because for this field you can just Driller, like main phase Driller, pop one of their monsters and then special summon out Cutter, or you can go Valken Booster here, Valken Booster, special summon out Cutter from graveyard. And that's another funny thing, is that RB monsters do still work under Valken Booster. It just can only point to one at a time, and it's very easy to swing over, so it's not the biggest threat. Whereas Brute Blues is like, he cannot be destroyed until you get rid of the RBs under him. So you kind of want to keep Brute Blues instead of Valken Booster, but you can still get the spell, you can still get the interruptions off of Valken Booster, but you can only get one at a time. Whereas Brute Blues is like, you can put 0.2 or 3 at a time and still get it. So this is almost like Blue Eyes being able to make double Spirit Dragon. So like they hold off on overextending, they can play through Nibiru on their Spirit Dragon. This is the same idea. Hold off on overextending with your R.B.s and you can just remake the field, assuming you play a second cutter. And even if you don't, you just drill or pop a monster and then you summon out Rocket, and Rocket can be used for follow-up. That's if you want to play Rocket. You really don't have to. So next is a card like Lancea. So Lancea won't do much to the R.B. side of things, and it's better to hold Lancea until main phase now anyway, unless you're trying to play through Thrust. But for the sake of playing through Talent, like you're not playing through Thrust anyway. I mean, for the sake of playing through Talents, but because Talents is limited, trying to play through Talents is kind of redundant. It's better to save Lancea for after I resolve Hydrant, because if you Lancea me when I'm activating Hydrant, I change my target. I change my target from Preventer to Impulse. But if you Lancea me after I resolve Searching Preventer, then it's a lot more impactful. So for here, I still go Vulcan Booster just to grab Field Spell. Field Spells bring out the Stage Landing, and then Booster can revive Cutter. You also don't have to move it down. You can just link off the Booster and the Hydrant here because you have Preventer in hand, so it doesn't matter if Hydrant gets sent to Graveyard. So we just did Lancea, now Shifter. I know Shifter's at 1, but certain decks can still play it. Malice, Vanquish Soul can play Shifter, and Vanquish Soul is going to be very popular, and it's a really good against Mitsurugi, so it's probably a card that you're going to see post Duelist Advance more often. And this is something that if your opponent's going to go first, they're probably going to resolve on their turn, whereas like if you're going first, they're probably just going to resolve it at start of turn. So that way, even game 1, if they resolve at start of turn, it stops Ryzel X'd. It stops a few things from being able to be resolved. It stops, you know, White Force in their tracks in case they're playing Diabellstar. It stops a few engines. So it's better to just Shifter start of turn. That being said, we still get to resolve our Stage Landing. And since we're under Shifter, we know that we can't get Drolled. So this time we're going straight into Field Spell. Field Spell grabs us our Cutter, summon out the Cutter, normal Hydrant, just go straight for Impulse, right? If we were going Airlifter, we would go straight into Emergency, into Turbulence, right? But Airlifter is easy because that still gives you 2-3 interruptions through Shifter. Whereas us, we can go Brute Blues, Cutter, and then this is like your baseline. Like in case you didn't open the Emergency or the Airlifter, then you go Hydrant. I mean, then you go Impulse. But if you open Airlifter or Emergency, which you are more likely to open using the math for this deck, you do still get access to a decent board. And because Funk Dock, again, it doesn't matter if the Cutter gets banished after using its effect, you still get to special mount the Driller, and you can use the Driller to pop a card as well. The only thing is that, as you can see, we didn't spam Stage Landing this turn. We only used it once. And that's because if we use Stage Landing multiple times, then multiple of them would be banished, and it wouldn't be useful as a protection in the graveyard. So we might as well use the minimum amount of Stage Landing possible. Speaking of the devil, Droll and Lockbird, right? What do we do through Droll? As you can see, I put Airlifter in hand because Hydrant can't really play through Droll, right? Kind of a given. But we always test for the Droll with Brute Blues because it's better to just get the negate or on the field than it is to try to normal summon Airlifter and then attempt to get something in case it doesn't work. So we always just check for the Droll and Lockbird. If we had Field Spell and Stage Landing, I would say resolve Field Spell for Cutter because that way you get the Field Spell effect as well. But if we only have Stage Landing, then you go Brute Blues for Cutter. In this hand, since we're starting with Emergency, it's okay. We can just summon out Turbulence directly in set 4. And that's how we would have to play through Droll. We don't really have a choice. Like, we would need to hard open Emergency. to play through Droll. If we only had Airlifter or only had Rhoda, it would be kind of tough. But for us to play through Droll, we need Emergency. Now, if you had multiple stage landing, that would be great. Stage landing is really good through Droll, because if we had 2 stage landings, we just summon out Cutter. So it would be okay to normal summon an Airlifter if we had two stage landings, because it's like special Brute Blues, special Cutter, and then normal summon out Airlifter, assuming we didn't have Emergency, to try to search Emergency, and then see if they have the Droll and Lockbird. So going through our Mulcharmies now, our Fuwalos. They probably wouldn't resolve it at start of turn, but they'd probably just chain it to stage landing. I did this in Purulia back to back, so I was kind of just doing it just cause. Anyway, so we went for Fuwalos, and we know that they're not going to Droll us under Fuwalos, because that would be kind of stupid. I mean, they could. I would be genuinely surprised if we went summon Brute Blues, they drew off of Fuwalos, and then they said, okay, Droll. That would be kind of crazy, right? They wouldn't be going +1. They'd still have 5 cards in hand. So Cutter, Airlifter, Emergency. We go straight for Turbulence, right? Kind of like the Shifter combo. Just go straight into Turbulence. It's like the same idea. Set our 4. We know that they get to draw 2, but we still have 4+ interruptions that we can use to try to stop them during their turn. And I think it's not a bad setup. So to me, I like doing it this way. And now, last but not least for Purulia, stage landing, Brute Blues. Brute Blues this time is going to search Field Spell, because why would they Droll under their own Purulia? I mean, they could. They didn't even draw anything. So they would just be dropping 2 cards. So they would start with 4 cards in hand instead of 6. But to each his own, right? So they go Purulia. We're just gonna assume that Droll isn't real if they decided to go Purulia. So Funk Dock, stage landing, gonna get Cutter. This way we're not adding it to hand and then special summoning to give them a draw. We're just going straight to summoning it from deck. And then we're gonna go Hydrant for Impulse, excuse me. This way we still have 3 interruptions. I mean, Impulse isn't really an interruption. It could be. If they have some sort of removal, like SP or something, just chain Impulse to bring out a Turbulence so that you can try to pop a card on their field when your card gets removed. Or you can use this to grab follow-up in the case of Fire Engine, summon out Airlifter, a Rescue spell for follow-up.
The choice is yours.
Yeah, that's been R.B. Rescue Ace. I know you guys have been asking me for duel videos and stuff, and we're gonna get into that more as we get closer to Duels Advanced, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Also want to say quickly, if you want to save on foreign cards, like if you're into the foreign Yu-Gi-Oh market and you want to save 5% on getting foreign cards, you can go on hardtrader.com, use code Nistro for 5% off. It supports the channel and it saves you money. This has been your boy Nistro here. Hope you guys enjoyed. Signing out.